guys, so what is up? RedPandaMining here. How you guys all doing? I hope you're all doing really well and having a really great day. In this video, I want to talk about Ethereum Classic, and I just heard on Twitter that they are going to be moving or changing their proof of work algorithm to SHA3. I've made plenty of videos about this, I guess, in the past year or so, and Mr. Alex Sankov made this announcement here. He says, "It's been a long road, but it has happened. ETC changed proof of work to SHA3. The ECIP 1049, I'll show you guys that in a second, has been moved to last call. 6 weeks until accepted. Everyone, the rocket is prepared to launch. Let's go." That's awesome. So I'm going to read like a few different comments here from Twitter. And Bootata Mohammed asks here, "Please, when exactly will you change the proof of work algo?" And then Alex responds, "We will be accepted in 6 weeks and switch in 1 year." So obviously that's going to happen in the year 2021. Okay, I have another tweet here from Miss Christy Lay Minehan, aka Oh Gotta Girl, you guys may know her. She says here, ETC is changing to SHA3. Their justification is it will make them harder to be 51% attacked. And I'm going to read a few more things she says here. Further logic is that ETH miners won't be able to go over to ETC. Not quite how that works. Until an ASIC is made, which is unlikely for ETC, GPUs and FPGAs will be usable. And I will show you guys some GPU hash rates, some numbers that I saw on some websites here, such as like Atom Miner and Black Miner as well. I'll talk about FPGAs in a second, guys. Okay, going along, she also says here, "I'm glad that ETC has made a choice on direction, but switching your algorithm does not prevent rental attacks." And there's a little screenshot here that says, "Today, another large 51% attack occurred on ETC network, which caused a reorganization of 7,000 blocks, which corresponds to approximately 2 days of mining. All lost blocks will be removed from the immature balance, and we will check all payouts for drop transactions." Okay, so this was posted today, I believe, as of making this video. Yeah, today. So Bitfly, I guess, yeah, they noticed another 51% attack that happened on Ethereum Classic. And you guys know this has been happening now for the past month or 2 months. And I've been, covering that, Ethereum Classic has been getting attacked here and there. You guys probably been reading the news. And again, it happened again. And you can see here, Alex Sankov responded, "They're just salty at this point. We're moving to a new hashing algorithm." Oh God, a girl responds, "You realize that you can still be 51% attacked when you move to SHA3, right? If your chain only has 10 gigahash and there is 255 gigahash comparable in GPU hash power on ETH, they can be rented and be thrown at ETC." Now I'm going to read some replies here you guys may find pretty interesting. Alex responds here, "Of course it can be attacked. That's the property of proof of work. However, the SHA3 players aren't also going to be mining ETH on off days." I'm sure a lot of GPU miners can relate to this. Oh God, a girl says, "But why not? There will not be ASICs on day one. A GPU and FPGA will still mine ETH hash." Alex Sankov says, "Can you tell whoever it is keeps 51% attacking ETC to just stop for a little? I know they're salty about SHA3, but if they just mine some ETC right now, they'll 10x along with the rest of us." That's awesome. Bag holders of ETC, anybody? Anyways, guys, okay, let me know your thoughts on, Ethereum Classic moving to SHA3. I think this is definitely something that everyone has reservations, everyone has opinions about, and, I do as well. I'm going to take this in a objective stance. I figure I, influence some people, and I'm going to be objective as possible. And I want to understand both sides of, why they're moving to SHA3, and also the sides of GPU miners. Like, obviously sucks. It obviously sucks. Us GPU miners, I'm not gonna lie, we all gotta be honest here. We're incentivized by profits, right? Profitability. And when we think of, a coin changing algorithm that doesn't suit the hardware that we have, of course we're gonna be pissed off. Everyone's gonna be mad that their hardware, specifically if we're talking about SHA3 here for Ethereum Classic, is not as efficient as FPGAs or potentially ASICs that are gonna be mining on that algorithm. I'm gonna keep talking about my opinions and reservations as I go along in this video. But first things first, I just want to show you guys on what to mine that they're no longer showing Ethereum Classic on their website now, okay? It's just not on the profitability list anymore. I guess that's due to the 51% attacks that have been happening now. I think this is like, I don't know, 4th or 5th attack that happened now. And yeah, it's kind of sad to not see it on here anymore. But as well, I guess it makes sense because the times to, the withdrawal times to get your Ethereum Classic and, trading all that stuff is, I think, pretty much closed on a lot of different exchanges now, and people are talking about delisting Ethereum Classic, all that kind of FUD, all that kind of bad stuff. And to be honest with you guys, you know, I've been talking about Ethereum Classic for the past year. I've always kept you guys updated about this kind of coin because for us GPU miners, we were always mining it as well and using it. I've been using it for giveaways and always talking positive about Ethereum Classic. And I would hate for it to be delisted on big exchanges, okay? I definitely do not want that to happen, and I hope you guys don't want that as well. Ethereum Classic is a coin that I believe, you know, yes, it seems like they kind of just pushed off GPU miners recently because of the SHA3, and you know, they're blaming the rental hash rates for mining like ETH hash on like Nice Hash and mining rig rentals, what have you, blaming the GPU miners that, you know, ETH hash is obviously a dominant algorithm on Ethereum, right? And they want to switch off of that just so they can have their own type of like ecosystem and stuff. So talking about SHA3 or Ketchak 256 or Kesak, many people pronounce Kesak or Ketchak very differently. I'm not sure which one it is. And I'm on mining rig rentals right now, and you guys can see here, there's already rental hash rates for SHA3. So to not say that, you know, Ethereum Classic, once they move to SHA3, cannot be 51% attack after is, I don't know. There's huge potential for, I would say, even more, because FPGAs, in my opinion, is a market where not very many people have FPGAs. So there's going to be a very select few, maybe groups or maybe single people, wherever they are, that have a bunch of FPGAs, and they could single-handedly potentially do an attack on Ethereum Classic if they wanted to. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm just saying that it's possible with FPGAs, and there are certain entities out there that have massive amounts of FPGAs. And okay, that's where I'm going to go along now, you know, talking about their, you know, hash rate right now. Ethereum Classic, it's definitely way down from what we've been seeing. The difficulty is way down. Hash rate is obviously low because obviously people are like, where's my Ethereum Classic? And you know, it's being attacked and I can't trade it. I can't do anything with it right now. People are disinterested in mining Ethereum Classic, and I guess it goes to show the kind of support that it has. I still have a rig or two mining Ethereum Classic right now. Like, I'm still supporting it in a way that I support Ethereum Classic, but my little hash rate, obviously it doesn't help because the 2.4 or 3.23 terahash rate here, it doesn't compare to what Nice Hash has right now, and or mining rig rentals, where you can just easily rent the hash rate and just do an attack on it. Or if you had someone out there had a massive GPU mining farm or bunch of A10 Pros for that matter, you can do an attack on Ethereum Classic, what have you. All right, so many different possibilities out there that probably happened, and we've seen some evidence already that it was on Nice Hash. So take that as you will. Okay, talking about the hash rate for, you know, some GPUs here. Okay, so let's just talk about, you know, a 1080 Ti, for example. I'm on the Atom Miner website, and you guys know I do have one of these. Actually, just recently I sent it off to Crypto Mikkel. He might do some videos on this, but apparently the Atom Miner, you know, is really efficient. It's an FPGA, if you guys didn't know, but it can mine SHA3, according to here on their website here, 540 megahash at 18 watts. That's insane. And then you compare it to a 1080 Ti. 1080 Ti does about 700 megahash at about 300 watts. And they say here this is all like stock clocks and stuff. Nothing's overclocked or modded or anything. But you can see generally the efficiency for FPGAs is insane. And I will, at the end of the video, we're gonna watch a 33-minute video of Alex Sankov. Thank you, Alex Sankov. Don't copyright strike me when I show this video, okay? But at the end of the video, we're gonna watch this 33-minute video just to be objective and learn why Alex Sankov says here why Ethereum Classic should adopt SHA3, okay? So stay tuned for that, guys. I know this video is gonna be really, really long. But anyways, GPUs are just not as efficient as FPGAs, and we can see from a little tiny Atom Miner that it can pretty much be 10 times, I don't know, 100 times better and more efficient than 1080 Ti, just as an example. But also, if we look at like the bigger FPGAs, you know, the ASIC looking ones such as like Black Miner, and there are some people, I know some people in my Discord have these, and they can mine SHA3 as well. So example, if we look at the F1 Plus Black Miner, and I have it up here, so if we look down the list here for bit streams, you can see here, they have a SHA3 bitstream here. And now I'm not sure if this is the same implementation that Ethereum Classic is going to implement, but it says here SHA3, all right, 35.2 gigahash at about 1,000 watts. take a look at that, and if you're comparing it to like a GPU, it doesn't compare at all. Like this thing is obviously 10 times more, 100 times more efficient than a GPU. I'm not sure. I'm just speculating the times amount there, but we all know that FPGAs or ASICs potentially will be just insane on this SHA3 algorithm. And we will see Alex Sankov talk about that in the video that I'll show you guys at the end of the video if you stay this long. Hopefully you guys will stay this long so you can understand objectively the whole situation regarding Ethereum Classic, why they're moving to SHA3 and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now I just wanted to quickly show you guys the ECIP 1049. This is the change to the new proof of work algorithm, the Keccak 256 or SHA3. So in case you guys wanted to read this, I will have it linked down below and you guys can learn and read the reasonings why they want to move to this algorithm. You know, there's things such as, you know, the development factor of, you know, for DeFi, smart contracts, you know, it's better to implement all this kind of stuff because of the algorithm and some other stuff. I'm not a developer, so I don't really understand it, but from a developer standpoint, it sounds like it will benefit them mostly and, you know, fundamentally for the coin. Okay, so, and whether or not you guys care about that or not, I know for us GPU miners, I would say for most people, they care about the price and the incentive to mining the coin, you know, their trade-offs from electricity to how much profit they can get. I know that's a huge factor for GPU miners, and I know most of you guys who watch me right now, that's a big factor. I know that for a fact. You guys can let me know down below if you don't care about profitability, but I'm gonna say 99% of you do. Anyways, this algorithm, you know, as we know, it's gonna be FPGA centric, and I would say 95, 98, 99% of the people out there don't have an FPGA. Xilinx, Squirrel, SQRL, what have you, all those different FPGAs that are out there in the world right now doesn't compare to how many people have a GPU. Okay, the commodity hardware, you can just go to Amazon, you can just go to eBay, you can go to Best Buy and just buy a GPU just like that really easily. But then there's the other side of it to why they're moving to SHA3, and this whole video, I have so many thoughts in my head, I just can't put it to words. But how one person or how a community versus another community, maybe a GPU community versus FPGA versus ASIC community versus the developer community, we all cannot agree. Definitely we all cannot agree on one thing, and I know that it's definitely going to be a hard thing, and I know there's going to be a lot of people down in the comments in this video that are not going to be happy that Ethereum Classic is moving to SHA3. I'm one of those people. But I'm also understanding why they are moving to this. I hope it works out for them. I'm not wishing that, you know, anything bad's going to happen. I never want that to happen to any coin. I hope it works out. I really do. For me, I guess once I get my little atom miner back, I will test out SHA3 when that comes out in the next year or so. Or maybe potentially I may have an FPGA down the road, or maybe some of you guys will have an FPGA down the road. I know some of my viewers are FPGA miners as well. Okay, so let me know what you guys think about that. Anyways, ETC did have a network security plan they released on August 19th, you know, talking about some prevention and, you know, talking with some pools and miners, you know, to just cooperate in terms of, you know, finding out where the hash rate's coming from and all that kind of stuff, monitoring different spikes in hash rate in different areas, all that kind of stuff, talking with exchanges, whitelisting, blacklisting addresses and whatnot. Then they talked about, you know, 51% attack resistance and changing the algorithm, and they think that it could potentially, you know, help with 51% attack resistance. Like I said before, I showed you guys the rentals for SHA3, so that, you know, that's a thing already. So who knows if a SHA3 bad actor in the world right now could potentially want to attack Ethereum Classic with the SHA3, who knows. But then they also talked about here, they had two alternatives, I guess, yeah, SHA3 or RandomX, but it looks like it's going to be SHA3, so RandomX isn't going to happen, obviously. They talked about here that they were going to do a miner vote, so I don't know any more info about this. I guess they're just going to go through having SHA3 already implemented by the sounds of it, so I didn't see any like voting mechanism or anything going on. I'm not sure if we have to use our hash rate or something. To go along with that, actually, really quick, I did make a video about talking about SHA3, I would say half a year ago, and I did have a straw poll, you know, stick with ETH hash or move to SHA3. And obviously for my community, we're GPU mining centric, so it kind of made sense that everyone voted 83% for ETH hash. But then there was like a good, you know, 17% of you that said you wanted SHA3. So maybe I'll have another straw poll down below. Who knows? Anyways, they have a security plan here. Also, you know, talking about the Pearl Guard, I don't know anything. I haven't heard anything about that yet. I don't know if they're going to implement that. They say approximately 3 months once the specification transaction is complete. So maybe this might be implemented. But yeah, going along, they're talking about the mining algorithm that currently, Dagger Hashimoto, Ethereum has most of the hash rate, right? You guys all know that. And we can see here on Mining Pool stats that Ethereum right now has about 190, 214 terahash, and Ethereum Classic has measly under 3 terahash right now. So basically a lot of 51% attacks can happen. And you guys have seen recently a bunch of 51% attacks on Ethereum Classic, right? So, yeah, obviously it looks like SHA3 is going to be implemented. Okay, finally, I just want to show you guys Grayscale. You guys know they're a huge investment firm in Bitcoin and other coins as well, but they're invested in Ethereum Classic. There's a trust for this. So whether or not this has incentive to do with anything, I'm not sure. Some people have talked about this. I have absolutely no idea. I don't want to put anything out there, but let me know what you guys think down below. Okay, anyways, guys, I've been talking about Ethereum Classic in a lot of videos. I talked about, Ethereum Classic SHA3 getting serious 6 months ago. I made another video a year ago talking about they had a testnet for the SHA3 proof of work algorithm. I've made plenty of videos about Ethereum Classic, and, I am not against Ethereum Classic. I appreciate, fundamentally the developers, all the stuff that they're working on. And on the other side of it, I hate that GPU miners such as ourselves, the guys that have been pushing and mining Ethereum Classic for the past 2 years, 3 years, may potentially be left in the wayside in the next year or so once they move to SHA3. And whether or not, the people that are going to be buying FPGAs or already have FPGAs, they may be able to profit, for the first month or so because they have the hardware to do it. And you guys can see here already that, well, actually it may not be profitable. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure, the price of Ethereum Classic it's going to be by the end of next year. Who knows? But we can see here, there's already tons of people that are willing to rent out their Ketchak or SHA3 hash rate here. So whether or not it's going to be profitable or not in the next year or when they move to SHA3, who knows? But I will definitely keep you guys updated when that happens. Okay, this has been a really long video, but to stay objective and I want you guys to watch the rest of this video here. Alex Sankov did a speech or like a talk at the Ethereum ETC summit here in Vancouver 2019, and yeah, I'm gonna play this here. Alex Sankov, if you're watching this right now, man, please don't copyright strike me. I truly do want people to watch this video and just be objective to why, for GPU miners specifically, and hopefully it will change some minds or not change some minds. But Alex, if you're watching this, I would love to get a response from you. But for me, I totally get why you want to move to SHA3. Okay, so I'm in the middle. All right, my opinions, if you guys are watching, I'm in the middle right now. Maybe I'll make another video down the road. Anyways, let's watch this video. Here we go.
So pleased to welcome to the stage Alex Sankov.
Thank you so much for putting this on. All right. Okay. Can everyone hear me okay? Am I using this microphone? All right. All right.
Your mic, you can step away and do it.
Okay. Testing. All right. It sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. So this is a really big topic on a very interesting question in the Ethereum Classic community, which is what should our proof of work algorithm be? And I think that a really good algorithm to choose is called SHA3, and I'm going to be explaining the rationale behind that in this presentation. And I think it's going to put us on the right track in the future to becoming a legitimate competitor to a lot of other blockchains out there and actually showing why Ethereum Classic matters and what it does beyond just regular Ethereum. So thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to come and speak here. It really means a lot to me. So the first question that we really need to ask ourselves, which is, why should we actually change our algorithm? Because I think that we're at a crucial time in which we can actually be able to do this successfully and be able to do this in a way that maintains community consensus, because we're small. And this is a very difficult thing to do in larger projects, but when we're right now, a single conference room of people that can all get together and discuss, and the stakeholders all really care, and we're not that big, we can act more nimbly and we can do the right thing. So why do we want to consider changing our algorithm? Well, it really begins on January 9th when ETC was 51% attacked. And basically what happened was that there was a series of 51% attacks in which rogue mining pools were able to acquire a majority of the hash power on the network and were able to publish chains that would reverse transactions that they had made to exchanges. So they would send ETC to an exchange, they traded it for Bitcoin, they withdrew the Bitcoin, and then they published a side mine chain that would then give the ETC back to them. And when this happened, it was a huge shock to the community. People had sort of been saying that this was possible, but no one had really kind of seen them in the wild. And what exchanges started doing was that they started requiring over 4,000 blocks for confirmations. There was talks of potentially delisting Ethereum Classic. And that kind of brings me to the next point, which is that if Ethereum Classic cannot properly be traded and sent to exchanges, we break one of the core elements of proof of work consensus. So for proof of work consensus to work, you really need three elements. You need to have miners, you need to have exchanges, and you need to have users, developers, merchants, etc. So basically what happened was that the miners are able to mine and protect the network and generate new coins, and they send that to exchanges, and the exchanges are able to convert those coins into actually fiat currency that the miners can then use to pay their power bills. But what happens when there's a 51% attack and exchanges start requiring over 4,000 block confirmations, which is over 48 hours, so that's actually slower than a wire transfer, is that honest miners are no longer able to actually be able to deposit to exchanges and to be able to trade that for fiat currency to be able to pay their power bills. And what this can lead to is sort of a negative feedback loop in which hostile miners are able to repeatedly double spend, which causes exchanges to want to delist or increase the block confirmations for Ethereum Classic. The whole time, users are basically terrified. They don't understand what's going on. They're questioning it. They can't use any of the dApps on the platform safely because they don't know if their blocks are going to be confirmed. And this can lead to a negative feedback loop. And what we know is that these are the public statements kind of on the side from the exchanges. They were saying that Ethereum Classic was not living up to sort of its end, and they were saying maybe we should consider a proof of stake algorithm instead, which is kind of funny considering our history and considering kind of what ETC stands for, that they would be recommending we go to proof of stake. But I think that it's a really good point that exchanges really do care actually about the project and whether or not it's profitable for them to be able to turn it into fiat currency safely. So when this happened, I'm purely a dApp developer on Ethereum Classic, so my interest is writing Solidity contracts, basically creating financial instruments on it, because I think that the advantages of what a Turing-complete proof-of-work system provides is the ability to completely redefine how people all around the world interact financially, and it provides access to people. So that was kind of my background in Ethereum, and I didn't really know anything about how proof of work really functioned on Ethereum Classic. So after this attack, I really started looking into it because there's no instruction manual or Stack Overflow question for how do you respond to a 51% attack. You just have to go along with it as it happens. And I started noticing that we didn't use a standard hashing algorithm. We used a custom one called ETHash, which was created in 2015 with the idea of being ASIC resistant. And what ASIC resistant means is that it's supposedly difficult to build a dedicated device to be able to mine this. Now, what was interesting about this is that it sounds very good in theory, this idea of, okay, well, the everyday person can be a normal gamer and they can just sync with the network and turn on the miner and start getting new coins. But the reality is very different. So there's a number of currencies that have all tried to be ASIC resistant. So you can see them on there. There's ETHash, which is used for Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. You have Scrypt. You have Equihash for Zcash. You have Kryptonite for Monero. You also have Ravencoin as well. And all of these proof-of-work systems have claimed to be ASIC resistant. But what eventually happens is that as the market cap of these systems grows, it becomes financially incentivized to create ASICs for them. So what I would posit is that ASIC resistant is a spectrum. It is ASIC resistant until it becomes financially viable to build an ASIC for it. Now, the dangerous part about this is that what a lot of the time ASIC resistance means is just very poor documentation. So if the system is very badly documented, then the developer team or the people that are close to the project have an inherent advantage in creating ASICs because they understand how the network works. So I think that it's still a legitimate question as to whether or not the 51% attacks that were carried out could have been connected to rogue ASIC miners who might have been building on Ethereum at the time. And really looking into the whole question of ASIC resistance kind of led me to a variety of other issues with Ethash that I think prevent Ethereum Classic from truly becoming a Bitcoin level proof of work network. So specifically the 4 gigabyte DAG that is required by miners, and this is an exponential memory construct that is growing. There's no constraints in the system. It'll just keep growing indefinitely. The fact that there has to be a 16 megabyte pseudo-random cache required for every block. A huge problem is the fact that we're a minority chain. So being 1/20th the market cap of Ethereum means that Ethereum mining pools, who have a lot of incentives actually to sometimes see us fail, it's very easy for them to come over and attack the chain, destroy Ethereum Classic, and then move back to mining Ethereum profitably. So that's a major problem. The fact that it's a roadblock for Fly clients and Light clients, this 16 megabyte pseudo-random cache just causes tons of problems. And then there's also the fact that it's built on the false assumption of ASIC resistance, which may have been true in the past, but is no longer true with Ethash. There are ASICs for them, and it's actually not very widely available. We don't know how many companies have them. It's one of those things where if you're in the know, maybe you have access. If you're not in the know, then good luck trying to build one. And personally, the biggest issue that I see with Ethash is the lack of safety checks, standards, and documentation. So if you try to find documentation on Ethash to write your own miner, for example, you'll find one page on the Ethereum wiki, which is about 4 paragraphs. And for a hashing algorithm, which is probably one of the most important elements of a cryptocurrency, it is the cryptography of cryptocurrency, to have 4 paragraphs describing the hashing algorithm is actually absurd. So I just want to leave this first part with a quote from one of the best cryptographers sort of alive nowadays. His name is Bruce Schneier, and he wrote a number of hashing algorithms, he said. And what his point is that it's very easy to actually create these algorithms. The hard part is to create one that nobody else could break. So what I think that the issue with Ethash is that it makes sense because it's poorly documented. It's ASIC resistant because not very many people know about it. But the more that people know about it, the more imbalanced the market for miners and the system can become. So let's move on from Ethash and let's move into what I consider to be a fantastic alternative and a great opportunity to upgrade, which is a hashing algorithm called SHA3. So what is SHA3? You can actually see it right there. So this is on the slide. This is the entire implementation of SHA3 in one tweetable image. And what this means is that you can run this and you can determine on your own the proof of work that is done by the network. So with Ethash, in order to compute the proof of work, you have to maintain all of these giant caches. It's very unclear how to even write this. But with SHA3, you can be anywhere on the earth, and as long as you can run this very basic little program right here, you can determine what is the chain with the most hash power associated with it. So that is like kind of the core of it, is that it is so simple yet so powerful. So what are the 2 main reasons why SHA3 is an amazing algorithm? Well, first of all, it's safe. So SHA3 is a title that was actually earned. It stands for Secure Hashing Algorithm 3, and it was the product of a NIST secure hashing competition that was put on between 2007 to 2012. And the reason why it was chosen was because it's very fundamentally different in its construction than SHA2. So what NIST was worried about was that because of all of the cryptography that relies on SHA2, if that were to get cracked, what would we be able to use in scientific or defense-based applications? So they wanted to find something that was a very different construction. Second of all, another reason why I think it's very important is because it's extremely high performance. So SHA3 was selected as a winner because it was actually about 4x more performant in hardware and FPGA and ASIC implementations than SHA2 was. And I think that that performance gain is something that we're going to feel not only in the mining market, but in the node market, where when we're confirming blocks, we don't have to run this costly memory-intensive hashing algorithm with this ETH hash. We can run in a mobile phone or even in a smart contract the SHA3 algorithm, and it's very small and very efficient. And the reason why it's able to do that is because it fundamentally uses one less chip instruction than SHA2 does. So SHA3 has a bunch of bitwise rotations. SHA2 requires this thing called an add, which is a very difficult feature. And then finally, it's the accessibility to smart contracts through the EVM. So if you really understand how the EVM works, you'll know that Keccak 256, SHA3, they're synonymous, is used everywhere throughout the EVM. So really the big motivation of this is that let's standardize our entire hardware stack to use the best algorithm possible. And it's already being used everywhere. So how was SHA3 actually created? Well, it was the product of a 5-year competition. And basically it started with 64 initial teams, and it got narrowed down through individual rounds. So they would have hundreds of papers written by universities all around the world looking at analysis of it, proofs, whether or not this is an efficient algorithm, reviews, performance benchmarks, implementations. And basically, you can see in the quote on the side here from John Kelsey, who was the NIST head scientist who actually ran the competition. And they were very emphatic that they said that Keccak won because it was an extremely high security margin, it had excellent hardware performance, and it had good design diversity from SHA2. So these are all reasons why we as a community should be interested in SHA3 and why we should consider this as a proof of work algorithm, because it's a really good one. So this is probably the most important slide, in my opinion, in this whole presentation, which is showing that hashes have a lifespan. Hashes can die. So this chart right here it's called the rainbow chart. And what it shows is all of the hashing algorithms that have been considered official hashing algorithms. So ETHASH has never really made it to an official hashing algorithm, but these are the ones that have been given the blessing by a variety of either FIPS or ISO standards, starting in 1990 with MD2. And basically what happens is they start and they work for a period of time, and then an academic will come out with a paper saying that there's a theoretical attack that can be committed against it. They'll still work for a little bit. People will say, okay, maybe we should start using something else. Then that theoretical attack will be implemented, but it won't be computationally efficient. And then finally, they will eventually prove the attack, which will be a hashing collision, which is when two pieces of separate input produce the same hashing output. And when that hashing collision occurs, at that point, the hashing algorithm is considered dead. It is no longer safe to be used in any application at all, and any accumulated proof of work that were to happen before that point is considered done, because it can be faked by somebody trivially doing a hash collision attack. So if we go by this chart, we'll actually see that there are not very many algorithms by 2017 that are actually considered fully safe. So there's really only 2 of them, or there's 3 of them actually. There's RipeMD, which is kind of an older one and it's not very high performance. There's SHA2, which is used by Bitcoin, and then there's SHA3, Keccak, which is not really used by any proof of work system right now, and why I'm proposing it. And just as a side note, you can see, remember how I was saying earlier that NIST wanted to have design diversity. Why did they want to do that? Well, because MD4, MD5, SHA1, and SHA2 actually all use the same fundamental construction, which is the Merkle dam guard construction. SHA3 uses an entirely different architecture called the sponge architecture, which provides a level of safety. It's in a sense a cryptographic hedge that if the Merkle dam guard structure were to fail entirely, that we would be able to have something else that's very different. So another advantage of it is that it is extremely high performance. So because of all of the papers that were written about SHA3 for this testing process, we were able to actually see, well, like, how well does it actually doing? So this is an image of FPGA trials that were being done on SHA3. And as you can see, it has about 4 times the efficiency of SHA2. So I'm going to go through as well. There were a number of other trials that were being run against it. You had the energy efficiency test. So it's about 5 times the energy efficiency per hash of SHA2. It has 3 times the space efficiency, and it's extremely efficient in both FPGA and ASICs. So that really matters both in the mining community, but also on integrated hardware like cell phones or a variety of other things that might need to run nodes where they're doing a lot of SHA3 calculations all the time. Yeah, please look through this stuff. There's hundreds of papers written on this. This is not like some secret that is just being discovered. So this is a really important spec sheet right here, which is basically I'm looking at the differences between SHA2, which is Bitcoin mining, versus SHA3. And basically there's a few key differences that I think will lead to very different divergent market outcomes. So first of all, the block time on Bitcoin is a 600 second blocks, while on Ethereum Classic it's 15 seconds. So I think this is going to lead to some very, very different mining operations because latency becomes a huge factor now. Because if it takes you 2 seconds to get that block to start mining, and then it takes another 2 seconds to propagate that, well, you've already lost 4 seconds of your 15. So that isn't that big of a difference for Bitcoin because you've got such long block times. But for Ethereum Classic, it's actually going to change things a lot. And I think that it's going to mean that latency all of a sudden matters a lot more. You can see the supply cap. So Ethereum Classic has far less of it that's been mined. It has a cap of 210 million, and we're only less than halfway. We're around halfway there. And then you can see some of the smallest units. And then another interesting factor is that miners would have far more capacity to actually run it. They would have a 256-bit mixed hash plus a 64-bit nonce. For a total of 320 bits of capacity, which would actually be really great if they're trying to do on-chain mining contracts or a variety of other ideas. So let's go through the benefits. So why will SHA3 empower us? Well, the first most important thing right now that I can see is that it will immediately give us protection from 51% attacks, because right now we are 1/20th the size of Ethereum. As I said earlier, we can be attacked at any moment. It can happen today by Ethereum miners. So the goal of SHA3 is that we can basically move to a new hashing ecosystem, and we can become sort of the apex predator of that ecosystem where we no longer have to worry about being the minority chain anymore. And I'm very interested in Bitcoin. I've been that way for a while, and I think that it's best to try to follow the path of how Bitcoin is able to thrive, which is we want to be the biggest proof of work algorithm in our ecosystem. So the second benefit that I can see is that now all of a sudden we have a useful commodity as a chain, which is a huge amount of SHA3 hash power. So if SHA3 is considered the most valuable hashing algorithm out there right now, Ethereum Classic will be a tappable source. We can provide that hash power as a service to other blockchains. And there's a variety of other things out there. I can talk to you guys after. But I see benefits with Fly Client / Light Client. I see us having the potential to do on-chain mining contracts. So rather than having to do trusted relationships where if you mine this much, then I have to trust that you'll send me this many coins, for example, we can program that into a smart contract because our smart contracts understand SHA3. They don't understand how Ethash works. Another benefit is that it becomes far easier to do open source, highly portable mining software. So right now the Ethash market is dominated by closed source mining software like Claymore and Phoenix. I didn't know anything about these before I started researching this talk, and really what I learned about is kind of scary because most of the mining happens through closed source clients. We don't even know how they really work under the surface. And then finally, they can be Ethereum Classic can become an incentivized randomness beacon, which is something that I think is tremendously important for ETH 2.0. I think it's useful for Cardano and a variety of other platforms. So this is another reason why I'm interested in it, is because I think that ASICs fundamentally lead to more distributed mining. I think that if you look at, so I have a little bit of experience working in the renewable energy space and trying to understand the economics of it. And really, when you're working with somebody who, let's say, is setting up a wind farm, these are not the type of people who want to get into the details of which graphics card they're going to try to hook up to their windmill. They want a commodity box that they can plug in next to it and that they can forecast for the next year how much coins that will be able to produce, because it directly affects the profitability of their project. So I think that if we move to a direction in which we have low cost, open hardware that is easy to distribute to a variety of areas, because we have a lot of manufacturers, and I think we will have a lot of manufacturers, I think that we can basically encourage renewable energy use, and I think that's very important for proof of work chains to try to move in that direction. And on the side, actually, that box right there is being used actually for methane flaring, which is a huge problem that nobody has been able to come up with a economically feasible way to sort of solve. Almost done. And then ultimately, I see it kind of culminating in what I see as the SHA3 standard, which is that Ethereum Classic has a different hashing algorithm than Bitcoin. And because it is a different hashing algorithm, it has value because either of those could break. Now, if Ethereum Classic is the dominant SHA3 algorithm, we will have sort of this ability to have programmable Bitcoin-like properties. And I think that that's tremendously useful for the decentralized finance space, for the dApp space, and kind of what excited me so much in the first place. So I think that this can actually really increase the value of the coin a lot. That's not my primary motivating factor, but I think that it is something that really could happen. All right, so the final section. What do we actually need to do to get there? What is the action? Well, so far we've achieved a number of things. We've created the proposal. We've implemented a SHA3 proof of work client based on a fork of Parity. That's the Aster testnet. We've created an open source CPU miner, and we've been able to achieve about 200 kilohash a second on purely a virtual server. So this is without any optimizations. We were able to get 200 kilohash a second for something that we wrote in 3 hours. So we think that the performance ceiling for this is extremely high. And then we also have had community members that have decided to test it on FPGA miners, and they've been able to verify that it is in fact usable as a proof of work algorithm, which was an open question. So now we get to the interesting part, which is when would we implement this on the Ethereum Classic network? Now, my personal belief is that we have to be somewhat careful about it, because if we take too little time, or if we do it too quickly, then we run potential development risks. So as I see it, there's 3 potential windows that we can go to. There's block 10 million, which is around March 2020. There's block 11 million, which is September 2020. And then block 12 million, which is January 2021. I believe that the best chance for Ethereum Classic is to adopt this by block 11 million. And the reason why is that if we take too much time and we keep discussing this, there's a real risk that other proof of work chains will adopt this before we do, and we will lose the ability to become the apex sort of algorithm on SHA3. We'll have to be another minority chain, which is, in my opinion, the worst potential outcome. So September 2020, block 11 million is what my vote is for. And this is kind of my roadmap that I've outlined right here, and I'm going to be posting these slides online so anybody can come and check them out. But basically, we've done the initial work on ECIP 1049, and what we want to do is we want to use this period of time between block 9 million and block 10 million to do discussion and debate. And at block 10 million, because this is such a new change, nobody has really ever written the book on how do you change proof of work for a running algorithm. I think that the best option moving forward is that we collect commitment statements, either yes or no, from the major clients at that particular time. So come block 10 million, it'll be very nice to be able to hear from the teams behind Parity, GetC, Multigeth, and Mantis, whether or not they see this as a viable system for Ethereum Classic and whether or not they support this change. And if we know by 10 million that the majority of clients are willing to support this as the default option, then I think I feel comfortable saying that we should move ECIP 1049 to accepted. And at that stage, the mining community will feel confident enough to actually start creating rigs and to start creating devices and marketing them because they know that it'll happen by block 11 million. And we should try to squeeze in a testnet at some point between there as well. The Aster testnet was nice, but it does not fully demonstrate the cutover, which is a very important factor that we're going to need to model. So there's open research that needs to be done by the developers as well before we were to be able to implement 1049. So that's it for my talk. It was somewhat brief, but I want you guys to join the discussion, keep it going. So that link is to like a Telegram room that I built a few weeks ago. We've got a lot of like the smartest people from all around the world in the chip industry kind of in that room discussing in real time whether or not this is going to be a good plan, what they think about it. So everybody here, whether you agree, whether you disagree, you're welcome to join. We don't believe in any censorship. So come and discuss with us and debate with us and tell us what you think.
So if you want to take 2 questions,
Yes.
so 2 good questions, please, not shit ones.
Yes, yeah, so Donald, yeah. Yeah.
Too bad, Donald. It's my turn. So if we switch to new mining algorithm on block 11 million, what
Yeah.
of the previous blocks? And does that mean that developers, tool maintainers, whatever, would still need to keep around stuff to deal with ETH hash to be able to deal with those previous blocks?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. There's a number of ways that we can do it. Basically, it'll be just a new probably file or in your directory structure. It'll just include a new SHA3 sort of consensus engine. As someone who wrote it during a hackathon, we were able to write the consensus engine in less than 12 hours. So actually, if you've written any of the tooling for ETH hash, you're going to love SHA3 because it's going to be so much easier for you. So I think that it'll be relatively easy to sort of cut over. And then once we get to that point in the future, there's a variety of different things. We could probably use a warp sync in which we say, all right, well, this is the SHA3 hash of all the blocks up to this point. Starting at this stage, use a new consensus algorithm or use a new proof of work. But there's a variety of different ways that the clients can handle it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious, when you talked about the timeline, you kind of spoke about how important it is to be kind of first to market with this.
Mm-hmm.
But if other protocols will eventually integrate it, does it really matter when it is released, if they will eventually have this kind of potential? I mean, nothing will change if everyone is using SHA-3.
Well,
it doesn't matter when we launch it, kind of.
Well, I think that I think that we can take a look at the SHA-2 market right now, which is very, very congested because there's multiple chains that have a variety of different contentious opinions, all sharing the same algorithm. And I think that the best option for Ethereum Classic is to move relatively quickly and establish a decisive sort of advantage in that space, in which the companies that are building SHA-3 hardware are very intimately aware of how Ethereum Classic works, how the EVM works, and all of those. And then once those companies start creating chips around that process, I think that there's going to be an inherent level of, I would say, a sense of loyalty to the protocol because they understand it and they were there first. It kind of created the market originally.
That's not really how mining works, right? It's not about loyalty. It's about like incentives aligning and making sense for people to mine, right?
Yeah. So there's one other. So Monero is considering moving to SHA-3. So we're very lucky because they decided to continue with ASIC resistance. So they're adopting RandomX. And they've said as a community that if RandomX fails at being ASIC resistant, and I'm willing to go on the record that I think it will fail because every ASIC resistant algorithm has failed in the past, they will then move to SHA3. So if you look at the daily issuance of ETC, we are actually far higher than Monero is. So I think that if we're able to get there early and we're able to sort of like build up a lead and get a lot of miners to start using and just become aware of Ethereum Classic, I think that that's going to increase the price. It's going to increase the daily mining budget, increase transaction fees because DeFi developers are going to start wanting to. If you're a DeFi developer, you're MakerDAO, why would you want to just deploy on Ethereum, which is going to go proof of stake? Why don't you want to deploy on a massively powerful proof of work based network as well? I think that there's going to be a lot of interest from developers for that. Yeah.
Okay, that was a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Thank
Maybe,
you.
Can I get Donald? I'm curious what he.
Sure, go on, Donald.
He was the one that originally
As long as
actually
it's
mentioned
not
it.
crap.
Yeah, come on. I'm curious.
High quality question.
If you see, it would only be 11 months from now, no?
Yeah.
Don't you think that the hash rate is going to fall at the beginning and then go up?
Oh, if we were to switch
the hash rate now is 9 terahashes.
I think that it's going to
migrate to the same level of terahashes if that happens.
I actually think the hash rate's going to go up a lot because miners are going to want to accumulate as much ETC as they can before the fifth inning that's going to occur. So they're going to want to get a big stake in the network because they're long fundamentally the idea of a SHA-3 algorithm. So I think we're going to see an increase of hash power before then. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, so if some of you guys stayed all the way to the end, I sure did. Alex Sankov is definitely a well-spoken guy. He talked about a lot of different things here, and I wasn't going to comment on anything here, but there was a lot of interesting stuff here, and but I want to know what you guys think, and please be objective, and I don't want any like hate comments or anything like that. Just I want constructive criticism down in the comments below. Like I legitimately want opinions from you guys. All right, so not just like blatant negative comments. I want good comments. All right, my friends. So thank you guys for watching. Please let me know what you think about all this for Ethereum Classic moving to SHA-3. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you all. Have a good one, and peace out.